Stormwater is when we have rain or snow melt that hits a paved surface instead of the earth. If it hits the earth, it can just go right underground and re-enter the water cycle, but when it hits a paved surface, it can't do that. So it runs across that paved surface, or maybe a roof or something else impervious, and then it enters our waterway after doing that. So along the way, it's picking up chemicals or litter, debris, all kinds of gross stuff, and then bringing that into the river. And in a place like New England, where we have a lot of rain, this happens a lot, and in fact, stormwater is the top threat to our water quality in Massachusetts. That rain also is increasing with climate change. We're getting more rain more frequently. The frequency this is happening is becoming more often. It's bringing more gross stuff into the river. And also, as we develop and grow, we're paving more surfaces, creating more areas for this to happen. So more impervious surface with more rain from climate change equals more stormwater entering our rivers.
This is true of most of Massachusetts, is that stormwater pollution ends up being the biggest source of pollution. I think it's 60% of waterways in Massachusetts, or 60% of all pollution, is kind of stormwater pollution. We actually don't need too much research to give you the most startling issue, which is I think most people don't know that there's still untreated sewage that goes into the river. I think most people are shocked to learn that they assume that we've addressed all of those issues. But we haven't. We have some very old infrastructure that can't handle all of the rainwater that falls into the system and pushes the sewage into the river. It looks like we have a whole section of the town where the pipes are over 100 years old. Are we replacing those? Are they leaking? There's very few people who will show up and ask those questions and express concern that we're falling behind in maintaining this infrastructure that protects the river and creates a healthy environment for all of us. The river itself has a lot of ecological value. And so if you care about living in a world that has diversity, that has ecosystem services, like being able to catch fish and eat them, being able to recreate, then you should care about what's happening to these rivers. The other thing is that rivers provide a lot of value to us for recreation and aesthetics. And we can take care of this river so that it becomes a place that we all feel excited to go use and recreate on. And ultimately it ends up being an economic driver in cities as their development along the rivers become more valuable and people use services in the area of the river. And so there's really a win-win for taking care of these ecosystems.
It's 2022, and we're using these sewage systems from the 1900s that are dumping raw sewage in our waters. Like, that's poop, that's gross, it's 2022, we shouldn't be needing that. That impacts water quality, that impacts the wildlife that live there, there's some nasty bacteria, and then of course for people it's really unsafe to have raw sewage in your river. If you want to go swimming or kayak or fish, or even if you let your dog or your kids kind of play in the waters, if there's raw sewage in that water, that's not okay. There's a lot of public health risks associated with that. So not only is it nasty and shouldn't be happening in 2022, but also there's a lot of water quality and public health impacts that come along with it.
We have kind of sources of pollution very close to the river. So if you think about, particularly around Boston, where Northeastern is, and Alston along the river, we have major highways, right? And like parkways that are really also just highways right next to the banks of the Charles. And when we get rainstorms, it washes kind of all of the pollutants that have come off of cars, oil, all that kind of stuff into the river.
My boys like to fish, and they used to cross the muddy river, and they used to say, "Mom, why can't I fish in the muddy river?" And I'd say, "Oh, no, boys, you can't fish in this muddy river. It's terrible." With our cars, with our chemicals, with the way our sewers work, so much human waste and human pollution goes into our rivers, and we're killing ourselves. Just as we're beginning to realize that the trees are important to our well-being, we're going to wake up one day and realize that these rivers right through our cities are killing us if we don't clean them up. And we can make a difference. Every single one of us with our own hands, we can make a difference. And stormwater pollution is one way that we can start thinking about how individuals can help stop this problem. Fireball King, thank you. That's excellent.
Oh, it's too heavy. Yeah, I broke the scale.
Yeah. If we don't do something here, all this trash will both pile up, much of it will sink, it will become microplastics that go into our river, into our ocean, into our fish, and then we'll be eating it. We've begun to find microplastic in our blood, in human blood, in our sushi, in everything we eat. It's sad. It's because of this trash. If we don't do something, we will be bearing the consequences.
If you really want to make a difference for people who care, it's to really get involved in a very local political process, which is to reach out to your city councilor, to reach out to your mayor, and to express that you care about these issues and ask what the city is doing.
There's no single solution or one size fits all solution, right? It's not like we're going to come up with the thing that's going to fix the problem. It's about trying to find how you piece together different solutions. I say that because that's how I think of our wetland project. It's an artificial island that's working to absorb some of the pollution that comes into the river because of stormwater runoff. And it can help, but it's not going to fix the whole problem by itself. You need to reduce the amount of runoff that's coming into the river in the first place, but you kind of need to look at piecing together multiple solutions from different areas and technologies, both physical installations like the wetland policy, changes. It's everything. It's not just going to be one thing that makes a difference.